Duncan Hayes.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to make my maiden speech so early in this Parliament. I'd like to congratulate the Honourable Member for Harlow and the returning member for Liverpool West Derby on their thoughtful and compassionate speeches. They are indeed a hard act to follow. One of my predecessors as Member of Parliament for Chippenham, albeit almost 200 years ago, was Sir Robert Peel. His maiden speech was to second the reply to the King's speech, and it was described by the then Speaker as the best first speech since that of William Pitt. It lasted 40 minutes, and members will be pleased to hear that I cannot hope to emulate him in that respect at least. Although Chippenham first returned members in 1295, it is one of this Parliament's new constituencies, formed of parts of North Wiltshire, Devizes and Westbury, all of which were represented by Conservatives. My honourable friends will therefore find me in the unfamiliar position of saying kind words about not one but 4 Conservative MPs. I could certainly use the practice. I say four because Sir Richard Needham was the most recent member to represent a constituency going by the name of Chippenham. Sir Richard was the longest-serving British government Northern Ireland minister and also a successful Minister of Trade. He continues to work in business, and I had the pleasure of meeting him on the very day that the election was called, as I visited a company in my constituency, of which he is chairman. The significance of the visit was not lost on the local and regional media, who reported it widely, and I am grateful to him for his enthusiastic welcome. Sir Richard was succeeded by my honourable neighbour, the current member for North Wiltshire. We were both involved in the campaign to save Chippenham Hospital, which, like the minor injuries unit that closed in Melksham, had been frustrated by a lack of support from Wiltshire County Council when it really mattered. My honourable neighbour secured an adjournment debate on the issue on 18th March 2008. I came to the gallery of this House that evening to lend my support and to see him put the then Minister on the spot. Now that we now sit on the same side of this House, I look forward to finding common cause with him more often. Members of this House will know that my honourable neighbour, the member for South West Wiltshire, formerly Westbury, is a doctor. He served for 18 years as a medical officer in the Royal Navy, leaving as a surgeon commander, and continues to serve as an officer of the Royal Navy Reserve. This saw him recalled in 2003 to serve in Iraq, and he has used that experience to speak eloquently whilst in opposition on defence matters. He reminds us of the professionalism of our armed forces, both regular and reservist. Finally, the Devizes constituency has also contributed to the Chippenham seat. My predecessor there was Michael Ancram, who served 3 constituencies during his time in this House, as well as serving his party as chairman and deputy leader. But I would like to commend to the House his last speech in this place, which was during the debate on the budget statement. He was concerned that this generation's legacy to the next would be worse than financial debt, which can, after all, be repaid, but that we risk leaving as our legacy a permanently damaged environment. He quoted a Native American saying, which has long been a favourite of mine: "We do not inherit this earth from our ancestors, we borrow it from our children." He urged this new government to recognise and address the coming environmental challenges, the greatest of which is surely man-made climate change. Accepting this mission, one that has also been put to me by the Bradford-on-Avon Climate Friends, will be a focus of my activities throughout this Parliament. Chippenham hasn't been represented by a Liberal since Alfred Bonwick over 80 years ago. I am also the first Liberal Democrat member to serve in this House for Wiltshire. Chippenham has experienced substantial growth in recent years, so I'm pleased that this coalition government has resolved to scrap the housing targets in the Regional Spatial Strategy, which would otherwise see Chippenham grow by about a quarter over the next 15 years, threatening open land near to Bursmarsh Woods and along Chippenham's floodplains. Although not included in the name, my beautiful and diverse constituency also includes the towns of Melksham, Corsham, Bradford-on-Avon, as well as villages like Holt, where I live, Hilperton, Winsley, and the National Trust village of Laycock, and indeed the southern tip of the Cotswold area of outstanding natural beauty at Limpley Stoke. In fact, my constituency will be familiar to fans of costume drama in this House, as Laycock has starred in adaptations of Pride and Prejudice and Emma, and among others is better known to many as Cranford. The railways have long been vital to the constituency's economic development. Yet Melksham, which is the county's 5th largest town, has in each direction only 2 trains a day. Some members may pass through Corsham after Brunel's impressive box tunnel when travelling by rail to Parliament. The town certainly sees many trains each day, but none of them stop there for the people of Corsham to use. Through my work here, I will continue to campaign for the improved rail services that my constituents so badly need. I hope to open a constituency office in Chippenham Town Centre, which, if successful, will be a modest contribution to the town's services. But I will not be able to match Joseph Neild, who paid for a new town hall to be built on the High Street. It still bears his name, despite, or perhaps because, his energies were so focused on the town that in the 24 years he spent as MP for Chippenham, he did not speak once in Parliament. It seems already that I have not managed to show such self-restraint. As a Wiltshire School Governor for the past 8 years, I was particularly keen to make this first speech during a debate on the subject of education. Great teachers, excellent schools, and a world-class university all contributed to giving me the confidence, financial security, and independence to embark on the journey that has brought me here today. Despite my father's best efforts, both my parents attended secondary moderns, and in his case, a technical college. I recall my mother telling me, whilst I studied for GCSEs, that she had left school by the time she was that age. Nevertheless, as loving parents, they well understood the difference that embracing learning could make to the opportunities ahead for all of us. And I was the first in my family to go to university, something which we could only afford with the help of a grant. I was very fortunate. As my right honourable friend, the Deputy Prime Minister, pointed out repeatedly during the past election, family wealth still makes a massive difference to the educational outcomes achieved by children today. I agree with Nick. There are some excellent schools serving communities in less well-off areas, but it simply isn't good enough that so many families find that accessing a good education for their children is dependent on their faith, paying fees, or being able to afford a home in an expensive catchment area. Every school should be a good school. The pupil premium that our government will now introduce is a crucial lever for directing funds into schools serving families who can't buy their way to a home in a more successful school elsewhere, so that they can be sure that all children get the support and attention they need. I believe this government will become known for its ambitious school reforms, the measure of success for which will be that a great education is within the reach of every child, whatever their background, whatever their family's means. Mr. Deputy Speaker, whether in education, the economy, or on the environment, looking ahead with a concern for the next generation will, I hope, be the hallmark of my contribution to this place, a contribution to which I will devote the very best of my ability.
Well done.